This is not a video game. This is not a temporary circumstance. This is why since 2008 we have been warning people to be careful about what they are doing. When you decide that Ukraine and Georgia must join NATO, you lead us directly to war with Russia, because it will not be able to accept it. Just as we, the French, would not accept to have people armed to the teeth at our borders. And there would be such contradictions with us that we know that they will end badly. I am telling you all this because you are going to face great events, and you will always have to call on your intelligence. So I come back to my case. Here is the war in Gaza, which was settled by Mr. Trump. As you know, there was a ceasefire, which immediately resulted in 300 deaths and 2 series of bombings on Lebanon. The ceasefire was not respected by the genocidal government of Mr. Netanyahu, and people continue to kill each other. This is Trump's peace. And here is a peace agreement with Mr. Putin about Ukraine. The Europeans, who do not play any role in this, and who are somehow prostrated in their servility, now feel offended because we did not ask them to be armed. And they discover that the North Americans have nothing to do with Europe or its leaders, because they consider them to be a succursal, led by small people with no great political conception. And they have accepted everything. So why not continue, they say. They do not even care. But it is time to ask for an account and to say to us, what have you decided? Because there is something that they have decided in both cases, in Ukraine and Gaza. There is one thing in common, and that is that they do not care about people's opinion. They are the ones who constantly talk about democracy. They are the ones who constantly say to us, you are a little suspicious of being in contact with Mr. Putin, and with extremists here and there, it depends on the day, and they attribute it to us. But who decided that we would not consult neither the Palestinians nor the Ukrainians who live in Donbass, Crimea and elsewhere, to ask them for their opinion, if they want to be Russian or if they want to be Ukrainian? Because in the end, it is still them who will find themselves in this situation. That is why we must not give up our pressure in one day. For us, it is the people who decide. The Ukrainians of Donbass, those of Crimea, those of all the regions who were put in question in the fight between Ukrainians and Russians, must be able to speak up and give their opinion. It is less difficult to organize an election than a war. And likewise, the Palestinians must give their opinion. Where did Mr. Macron go, please? 3 days later, he still had nothing to say. So we must say that he told us so much. Suddenly we were going there, we were going to settle there. The next day he was no longer in question. After that we had to go back there. The next day we were going to give weapons to hit the Russians in depth. Have you gone mad? To hit who in depth? The Russians. But you never opened a history book, Mr. President. You don't know that we can't beat the Russians, except when they leave their homes, which will happen to them in May. And we are not going to go to war with Russia. We must find a way to get along and ask for guarantees for ourselves. I'm not moving away from Arcelor. I'm coming back to it. Guarantees for ourselves. That means who is going to mine the Black Sea? Who is going to mine the areas that were mined in Ukraine? Who is going to guarantee the security of the Ukrainian nuclear power plants? Who? Who is going to do it? This is a question of security for us. We must not go to war with the Russians. We must get along with them because Russia is a European state. And if we are able to get along with all the others, we must also get along with them. And then they will do as they please because we are not so brilliant that we can teach others. We must get rid of their situation. Don't accept war. If you don't accept war, you prefer diplomacy. If you want diplomacy, you must work for the union of peoples, for the things we do together, the things we don't do anymore. What is the result of what we have done so far? Nothing, absolutely nothing, except for rushing into a single bloc, the Chinese and the Russians and a few others.